Hey, this is Scott Singleton again, and this is video number 2. We're going to talk about some of the general settings inside of DasBook. If you click the settings button on the left-hand side, it's way down here. Go ahead and click on it. By the way, that little green marker right there above settings, that means that your back-end service is running. This is actually a two-phase application, right? It's got a UI and then it's got a behind the scenes. That little green dot says, yes, your back end is healthy and everything's working. If for some reason you got something weird that goes on and that goes to yellow or red, then there's a problem with the back end service for some reason and it can't talk, so it's not going to be able to write data to the database. But let's go ahead and click on settings. We're going to go to the general tab. This is pretty self-explanatory. We have a dark mode and a light mode. Dark, light, pretty easy. The next setting is your push to talk input. This is so you don't actually have to hit the speak button. Like, I can click this and assign it to my middle mouse button and then save this, and now when I use my middle mouse button, it is going to capture my text and pump it into whatever context I have. If my chat box is open, it's going to go into the chat. If the chat box is closed and I have an actual document open, it's going to transcribe what I said into that document. Then we have this really cool concept called consistency alerts, which we're going to talk about in the future, where you can enable or disable them here. This requires a little bit of setup on your end. It requires a local minor AI processor called Ollama. And if you install that onto your system and set it up and put some models in it, it all runs locally. There's no cost. But what it does is it actually runs through something called your codex, and we'll look at the items that you create, like your scenes and your chapters in your book, and make sure that everything that you write complies with your codex. For example, if you create a codex that says that a character talks in a southern accent, if it's going through and it finds that you're using dialogue that appears to not be southern in nature, it's actually going to pop you an alert and say, hey, this section of this document, it looks like it's not adhering to your codex rules. And we're going to talk about how the codex rules work in another video. Then we're going to get to the AI connections. Now, Ollama is a local free program. It runs. You have to install it separately. I can't distribute it as part of this application, but you can download it. You can install it. I got a link here that you can go to get it, and you can put in the URL, which is like the URL that it runs on. This is the default, and you also have to give it a model. You have to download those models separately because Ollama does that. You have to it's pretty well documented on their site how it works. And it's just basically a local processor that uses your GPU in your machine to do minor AI stuff. It's a pretty weak AI, but it's really good at checking those alerts and doing local search indexing for you. So this is free. You set it up, you get alerts and indexes. And then we have Claude. Claude is and Anthropic is by far the best AI to use for it. You just basically pump in an Anthropic API key and then the model you want to do. Sonnet is perfectly fine. You don't need to use Opus. Sonnet works really well for this type of thing. Opus is going to consume a lot more tokens and going to be more costly. And then we have Voyage AI, and Voyage AI is kind of cool. It's actually owned by Anthropic. What it does is it creates smart context to send to your AI provider. So if you ask a question inside of your chat, Voyage AI actually will package up a vectorized context of the best hits inside your actual universe that matches what we're talking about and sends it off. The reason that's important is because it actually saves tokens. If we were to ship off your whole entire universe to the whatever AI processor you're using, it's going to consume mass amount of tokens because it's going to have to go through all of that content every single time it tries to make a decision. And what this does is this Voyage AI kind of scrunches it down and picks out like the relevant stuff to what you're talking about and just ships that off as little vector packages up to the AI, and it saves you a lot of transmission costs and token costs. So and Voyage AI is cheap. We're not shipping off 100,000 corporate documents to it. You're shipping off a book universe. I've had it running for a couple months, and I can tell you that I use about $1 or $2 a month. So it's not a high cost item at all. It's really cheap. But it helps save you money with what is more expensive, which is the actual Claude model with the Anthropic API. And then we do support custom open API. The thing is, with the custom open API architecture that's out there, you're not going to get a lot of the tools that are out there. It is an open architecture, but because of that, it's also limited in how it can talk back and interact with the actual application. Sure, you can use it if you got it. I don't recommend it, but it's out there. We support all the major compatible providers. You have to just put in excuse me, the base URL and your key, and then what model you want to use, and save it. Then when you are over here in the chat screen, you will see that you get to pick which model, which provider you're talking with. You're going to talk with the custom API, or you're going to talk with Claude. And you set that, and it saves it, and then you can do your interaction here, and it will go there. If we just want to deal with Ollama, we can, but its response is going to be very, very limited. It's more like a search engine than it is like a true AI. And so that's it. That's the AI connection. And we also have this cool thing called AI behavior. For example, at the very top is a specific set of rules that are shipped every single time. These are shipped off that says basically only do what the author asks. Don't do anything more. Don't create stuff on your own. Sometimes these AIs, they get very happy, and they tend to go down paths that are, I don't know, greedy and do things that you don't want to do. So we're saying, hey, only do what we tell you. If I ask you to create something, just create the node. Don't actually write the node unless I specifically tell you, that kind of thing. So these are some general rules. And then we also have cost tracking, where you can put in the price. For example, we're using cost analysis for every 15 million, what the cost is for these, and that way it's going to show you down here, like on the right hand side, that this query I did, writing this research document we did in the last video, cost me approximately 4.8 cents. And so you can at least get an idea how much is each of these API interactions I'm doing costing me. These are your input tokens, and these are your output tokens that you spent. So it's just kind of a tracking thing so that it gives you that heads up. These numbers do change every once in a while. These are probably a little outdated. They're probably a month or two old. I don't know if the pricing has changed on them. But that is the basic gist of how do you set up AI inside of the application. Anyway, thanks for watching, and wait for the next one.